Voices. My name is Dr. Caleb Alexander, and with me today I have Dr. Mario Salas and businessman and entrepreneur Chris Dawkins, folks. And so welcome today. We have a wonderful show for you. Today we're going to be talking about Black culture. But before we get started, we do want to say thank you to our producers, Carl Booker and Linnell Taylor, and we want to give a shout out to Professor Fred Williams. Fred, our prayers are with you. Hope you're feeling better. And as you can see,
Sharon, too.
As you can see, I'm going to get to that. We have one of our amigos missing today. Dr. Sharon, the lovely Dr. Sharon Michael Chadwell. So, hey, as you can already tell, we're gonna cut up today. So, Mom's not here today, so
I hope she didn't go to Costa Rica.
So we're gonna cut up and act the fool today. But today we're gonna have a show about Black culture. So we got last week or the week before last, we were at the Kwanzaa event, and Brother Andar stopped me and he said, "Hey, what do these principles mean to you?" Right? These 7 principles of Kwanzaa. Did he give you guys that quiz on there and pick one and say, "What does this mean to you?" Did he stop you guys?
I'd have to run.
Okay, yeah. He stopped me.
What I liked is he gave me the Kwanzaa meaning for each word.
Right.
Thing, and because he heard me say, I can't remember all of those, so that's why he gave me that.
Okay, yeah.
So he didn't quiz me because he knew. Yeah, I don't know. He don't know but one of them.
So no, but that got me thinking. So they get me thinking. So we're gonna do a show today about Black culture, right? The foundations of Black culture. And so not just Kwanzaa, but all the elements that go along with Black culture. So music, hair, clothes, religion, and what Black culture is, what it means to us, what it means to you in this season. So good thing we have our historian here, our resident historian, Dr. Salas here, who can kind of give us that foundation. And so I know if Fred were here, he would tell us that Black culture, Black American culture, started in those cabins, right? When you know, with the food, and then it was when they came in from the fields, and the women, men in the men's back, and the men holding the women after the rape and the brutality and all that kind of stuff. And so that's the foundations of how we made something out of nothing. So Mario, you want to talk a little bit about that? Give us a little bit of the history of the foundations of Black culture.
Yeah, and it's very complicated and very lengthy kind of a conversation. So I try to condense it as much as possible. But Black people had a culture before they came here as Africans, but Africa wasn't even called Africa in the ancient past. Each kingdom had their own name for the continent of Africa, and each African tribe had their own names, and so that's the real culture, is understanding the tribal differences, understanding the civilizations that did exist, and then understanding how all that was erased when they came to this country on slave ships. And at the same token, understanding the revolts that took place, the fight back that took place.
Right.
They didn't accept slavery. They fought back, and like on the slave ship Amistad and the Creole Mutiny, all kinds of rebellions that took place to gain their freedom. And then of course, adjusting and learning how to survive in a racist society was expertly done. They took the worst food that was given to them, made that food into a delicacy. They brought their own music, used drumming, all kinds of ways to communicate, inventing songs in the field that talked about escaping, using the Black church to fight for civil rights. So it never stopped. And
we've always been a creative people, haven't we?
Right.
Yeah,
and that's the thing about our culture,
and contrary to what Andrew Young says, the struggle ain't over. And so we've had people on both sides of the divide talking about what should be done. You had Malcolm X, you had Martin Luther King, Malcolm X talking about self-defense, Black Panther self-defense, Martin Luther King talking about nonviolence, but at the same time learning how both could complement each other. So it wasn't about attacking each other, it shouldn't have been, although some did do that on both sides. It had to be about what is the best survival mechanism to help out. Protest was the best thing Martin Luther King could have ever done. Nonviolent was the best strategy for a time, but not everybody could go that route because they got tired of being beaten up.
Right.
And so self-defense became an important issue in the Black community. So we went all the way from being kidnapped from a continent from different tribes,
Mm-hmm.
and then understanding how you could be brought together. They call that the diaspora. How black people were exported all over the world
Right.
under slave or white supremacist conditions, but then being able to come together and work out problems. So the culture is very interesting.
Right.
It's a survival culture.
Right, right.
And that's very important to understand, and understanding the differences and nuances and disagreements.
Right.
And there's nothing wrong with disagreements. Sometimes that's healthy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right,
yeah,
right.
like we were arguing with Chris before the show about him believing in Bigfoot and
Is
UFOs
that
and
called-
all that.
Well, look, we're gonna touch on that. We're gonna talk about the evolution of black culture, right?
That's
the
it.
survival culture. But I want to bring in Chris, the world famous music producer, who talked about how important. Look, we're gonna talk about the importance of music in black culture, which is with us, you give us a percussion, we're ready to run it all, right? So look. The importance of music in black culture and the evolution of music in black culture. So we saw the development of jazz and of blues and of the hip hop, right? And so even within those genres, right? How those genres evolved and how those genres came along during specific periods in history to help us cope at that time. You had like I say, the blues came along, and then you had the R&B come along to help us cope. You had Marvin singing, what's going on. You know what I mean? And you had Aretha and all the others.
Jazz, Billie Holiday.
Yeah, Billie Holiday, right? And so you had this strength of black music and black culture and its empowerment. Talk a little bit about that, brother. About how
Well, first of all, if I'm going
music
to
is.
talk about black music and black culture, it goes back, our culture goes back to what you were talking about, which is the drumming. Okay. We first of all use drumming for both entertainment, and we use drumming as well for messaging. It was a way to send a message to people. And as music began and drumming and different things like that, from the drumming then came dance. Okay. The dance went with the drumming. And then after the dance with the drumming, you got to remember that there was something that Maurice White of Earth, Wind and Fire, I don't know if you remember this, but the kalimba, okay, which was like,
Yeah,
just
string
some
instrument.
things that you played with your hands. It was almost like a piano for your hand. So things began to evolve, and again, as a people, we were very, very, very creative in the things that we did. As you come forward, the blues as well as everything else, including rock and roll. I know people are going to hate me saying
Tell the
this.
truth. Tell the truth, shame the devil. Don't say it, brother.
It basically was all created by what black folks were doing. I gotta say I can remember, but I can remember reading and seeing about when you had, for lack of a better term, I'll call it a banjo, where you just had one string on there, and then the guy was going up and down the string, and he had it in a tub and whatever, and that was creating and making music. After that, you began to, or about the same time, you began to have people to come up with this thing called, or known as a guitar. Okay. And going back,
Guitar's an African instrument.
okay.
The kora is
And going back to medieval times,
We're going to leave them white folks alone. Let's talk about the importance of music to our culture and how that the musical and how that sensitized with our culture and the importance of that, right? And so those moments, what about those moments when you had Aretha talking about how you know what I'm saying, a natural woman, or you had like I said, you had Marvin, right?
yeah, and you know something that when you talk about our culture, when you talk about black, when you talk about even the ethnic groups around the Caribbean, different parts, there's something about I like it, but I don't know where this comes from. Mario might be able to help me. There's always, I shouldn't say always, but the majority of the time, there's something sexual or about love or something that's involved. That I don't know where it comes from, but it is always a part. If you look at Jamaican music, if you look at American music, you look at Puerto Rican music, you look at whatever, and that American music per se, when you just have American music, is one of the ones that choose or from a different culture choose not to include either the sexual or a lot of the love.
Right.
Love, yeah.
Right, 'cause they're proved,
and,
right?
and real quick, the love is a very important component because when your family's separated,
Right.
your kids are sold into slavery,
Right.
love becomes even more important.
Right.
Because now you've lost something personally.
Right.
So there's a lot of love in songs.
In song, and that's in black cultural song.
Right, and because that's important
Right.
to maintaining some kind of family structure,
Right.
maintaining friendships with close friends, like we call each other brothers.
Right,
you know,
right.
that's part of love.
Yeah.
And love can be platonic, love can be
Right.
between brothers, love can be between sisters, love can be between
Sure.
intimate
Right.
partners.
Let me mention this before.
Well, let's stick a pin in it. Let's stick a pin in it, and we're gonna come right back. We're gonna take a real quick break.
No, we don't take breaks.
We're gonna take a break.
No.
This is not Hot Topics. We're gonna take a break.
It's not Hot
It's main show. We're doing main show.
No, this is hot.
We're doing Hot Topics.
Yeah.
Okay, well, go for it. Let's roll. Go for it. I thought we were doing. Okay.
He didn't have his coffee this morning.
So anyway, what I wanted to talk about is very, I know Caleb wanted me to talk about some of the stuff in the middle, but there's so much, like you were talking about. There's so much to talk about. I want to get to different things that really were instrumental in forming the culture.
Okay.
In my opinion, rap music today and the way that it evolved and how it got started is, and people will get mad for me for saying this, I believe Republicans took music education or band and different things like that out of the schools. And as we talked about in the very beginning, when we talked about being very creative, we have always been creative. So when that was taken away in New York City, those people began to use old music to rap and
Street
different
songs.
different stuff like that. And that was the evolution of rap music, and why today, if you listen to the songs today on the radio, you very seldom are going to hear any strings. And when I mean strings, I'm talking about really live strings. You have a lot of instruments and so forth that can emulate that, but you'll find that the music today, they can't create a dance song, and they can't create something that has horns or something that has strings or anything like that, or arranging anything like all that is gone. So we're going into a different era, but again, I believe that is a result of taking music education out of the school.
Well, and many of the songs and the beats of the rap, so a lot of people don't like to listen to the rap because the main thing is to listen to the words.
Right.
Because the words are words of resistance.
Right.
They
were.
Yeah. They're way,
Right.
they're,
Right.
it's a way that black people can resist through song.
Right. So let's continue. Let's push forward this conversation, right? So we talked a little bit earlier about the culture of resistance, right? But let's expand on that, the culture of resistance. But let's also talk about the evolution of black culture throughout the years, throughout the centuries, right? So and again, it's always been a culture of resistance. But how has that evolved, or has it evolved? Do you see evolution from the beginnings of black culture in this country to present day? So let's talk about historically. What do you see as far as the evolution of that culture?
Well, historically, we had black troops fighting for the North against slavery. Historically, we had Nat Turner in 1831 lead a slave revolt. We had any number of revolts that took place, a bunch of them, over the course of time. And then in the more modern era, going to the song, we had Michael Jackson, They Don't Care About Us, and song. And then we had a civil rights movement that won a lot of good accomplishments, but it wasn't enough. And so the next generation said, we ain't done yet. So then we have Black Lives Matter movement. And so that culture of resistance very strongly ingrained, and simply because white supremacy hasn't gone anywhere.
Right.
You can have a Civil Rights Act of 1965 or 64, but white supremacy didn't care about that because they weren't going to go away. So I think what people have, and taking the words from probably Ta-Nehisi Coates or Derek Bell, of white supremacy has a permanence. Well, guess what? Black resistance has a permanence too.
Right on.
So for however long white supremacy intends to last, it's going to be as long as black folks are going to, and black folks ain't going to stop fighting against it. Right. So we got a permanency too.
Right.
So
absolutely.
that's that piece of black culture. the fight back is permanent.
Right, absolutely.
We're
It
going
has
to
to
keep
be.
fighting back
The
through
resistance
song,
has to be,
through
yeah.
religion at the black church,
Right.
through protest,
Right.
and a lot of times old folks, bless their heart, because I'm kind of that way too.
Yeah, you're there.
But old folks, I remember when Black Lives Matter first started, some of
Yeah.
the older folks that thought the war was over because segregation ended, they didn't want to support the Black Lives Matter movement.
Right,
Right? They missed out on that.
Right.
And so you have each new generation taking up the torch.
Correct.
In a different way each time, but never giving up. The struggle is permanent.
Right. So, I want to touch on that. Because there's a generation now who's coming up who is unfamiliar, right? We've talked about this on other shows about this new generation who grown up post civil rights movement, right? So who think the struggle is over. This new black MAGA, you have these new black MAGA folks, and right, who have no understanding about the struggles, who have no understanding about the sacrifices, right? So we'll touch on that, but let's also talk about again the evolution of black culture. How do we see this evolution manifested itself in education? Pushback, right? So we have this movement where we're starting on some of our own schools. We're pushing back where we see this movement in the way we dress, right? And that changes, right? So we changed our dress. We went through a period where we were dressing more Afrocentric, more dashikis, and trying to reclaim. We were growing out. Chris had afro, Mario had afro, and and so we went through the evolution of course, music, clothes, dress. Even in the words we use, right? And how we addressed each other, right? But let's
At our own language.
So let's talk about our culture as far as education goes, right? So let's talk about this pushback and the formation of our own schools. And this, what are your thoughts on that?
Brother Caleb, look, I think that when you talk about schools, and we began to study, like Mario has studied, about Black history and education and so forth, we as a people, unfortunately, have continued to allow our oppressors to be the educators of our people. And I think over and over and over again, we have seen that as a failed model for ourselves. We have, in spite of that, we have still prevailed. But the thing is that we have not gotten to the point to where we think that we can operate within the system. Whereas I think that our liberation is going to come from being able to work outside, knowing that we need to work outside the system and continue to do that.
That's a great point, because in the 60s, when black schools had to shut down because of protesting and so forth, they had liberation schools in the community.
Right.
And I just read the other day where someone in another state, if I not remember, started, because they're getting rid of DEI, they're getting rid of they're trying to stop black history classes from being taught. So what people are starting to say, well, we're going to have a black history class in the community, and teach people all about black history, so you can't stop us.
Right, there you go.
The thing that we talked about
is that culturally grounded education.
It's very important. But the thing I wanted to say is that I wanted to, very early in our show, I think we're going into the 6th or 7th year of doing this show.
Okay.
And when we first started, do you remember when we interviewed the man from Atlanta, Wilson Academy?
I sure do.
Okay, so when we did that, and we see that people who work outside the system continue to progress. They don't have the problems. We had the conversation offline about some of our charter schools and them not making the grades and different things like that. These schools that are started outside of the system seem to continue to work. And one of the examples that I gave before, which I'll give again, which is the Nation of Islam. I think they have been very successful in working outside. But each time, I hate to come back to that, when we try to work within the system, we always come up with a roadblock, or a roadblock is put in front of us.
No, let's roll with it, brother. So culturally, right? I know you have a relationship with the nation, and great affinity for the nation. Also great affinity for the nation and what they do, the works that they. But let's talk about that. How important that aspect of it. Culturally, right? That contribution culturally. So if I'm gonna get you want to speak on it, go ahead and let's speak on it. The culturally, that aspect, what they bring to the table culturally, and I'll give you a chance to also. But go ahead.
I think it's
Give it to
very.
us.
I think it's very important that we look at the Nation of Islam. I think that we look at them for what they've done. Set the religion aside, okay? Set the religion aside and look at the things that they have put in place. The education, if you are a black man, you are not going to disrespect a black woman. And you know what's very surprising to me about the Nation of Islam is that them being in Chicago, going to places like Cabrini Green, different things. I know that you know the TC has used the Nation here. You've never seen them with a gun, okay? But yet and still, when you go up into the neighborhood, or when they go into the neighborhood, the drug dealers or the people who are there doing nefarious things in our neighborhood, they say, hey man, we don't want no trouble. We don't want no trouble.
Right.
Now these are killers, these are drug dealers, these are all kind of people in any other environment would be revered. You know, I'm not going to deal with them. And the community is scared of them. But when the Nation comes in, I don't know what they do or what they say, and they don't have no gun, but they come in and say, you're going to change. And you have changed.
Well, the Black Panthers did the same thing. They would run drug dealers off street corners and say, "This is a black community. You need to go somewhere else." And some of the local groups are even doing that now. About trying to stop drug dealing in certain neighborhoods and all of that.
So is our culture suffering because we don't? I mean, we've had the Panthers. They've have regressed, or there's not as many of them anymore. The black community as a whole does not want to embrace the Nation of Islam. And all of those things were very, I mean, the Panthers were the first ones to do the meals for kids.
Right. And self-defense was a big issue with the Black Panthers. Self-defense, you have to defend yourself. And if that means go and get a gun, that's what you would go do. And so self-defense, there's nothing illegal about self-defense. And so, that was important. And, you know, I've been thinking about starting my own liberation school. That we could have at the Claude Black Center or Barbara Jordan Center or somewhere. I've been thinking about that for quite a while.
Do it.
And I'm thinking about doing it.
Yeah, do it. Count me in.
Because I know that people are going to want to have that kind of education that they wouldn't get because of this attack against black schools. I mean, they're even trying to shut down black schools, historical black institutions, by cutting the funding, et cetera, et cetera. So, but there's always a way to fight back. So you can't stop the fight back.
If I can just give an ad for Mario to say, we need people like you who have been educators, who are respected, because if you start a school like that, you're going to attract other teachers to say, if it's good enough for Mario, whatever it is that he's making or not making, the effort that he wants to do, I want to be involved. So I say encourage,
and I remember the Texas Education Agency, when we went before them to get a Black Studies program in public schools, they supported it mostly, but they had this caveat. I never forget this. Texas Education Agency board member telling us in private, well, I can kind of agree with what y'all are trying to do, but just don't mention the name Malcolm X. And and so they wanted to tailor it down, and make it sugar-coated down. And the only one they would agree to talk about is Martin Luther King. And I remember these black high school student from Dallas saying, I love Martin Luther King, but I'm sick of y'all acting like he's the only black hero we ought to have. And so
they want to determine who you can.
So they're trying to control the education system. And so let's do that. Whoever's doing it and wants to do it off campus, so to speak, still have Black history classes being taught off campus. They can't stop us.
So look, before we go, we're gonna run out of time a little bit. So Black American history is American culture. Black culture is American culture. It's packaged, it's exported around the world, and America makes trillions
Right.
off of black culture, right?
Right.
So there's my thing is this. So there's a difference. We always talk about these numbers, right? How much we spend, $1 trillion worth of spending, right? But black spending is not black household income and is not black wealth.
Okay.
Right. So black wealth is is that cushion, right? Black wealth builds institutions. Black spending does not.
Right.
Black wealth allows you to fall down and get back up, right? That's what black wealth. So how do we take our culture that's packaged, sold, and repackaged and monetize it for ourselves? Right. So let's talk about our culture and how we benefit from our own culture.
One thing you need to do if you buy a house, one thing you need to do is try to keep it up, fix it, so you can pass that economic benefit to your kids.
Generational wealth.
Yeah, that's generational wealth.
Yeah.
You got to be able to do that, passing bank accounts on, doing the wills and your last will and testament, making sure that your kids have some survivability in the future, and then you have to create the wealth.
Now, I want to look at it from a different way. A book that you authored that I read, and I don't remember what the title of it was.
You don't remember the title of my book? What's going on?
I'm going to report him to the Texas Education.
But what you were talking about is the culture of Africa and how the different cultures of Africa aren't working necessarily when they try to adopt Western ways.
Right.
And I think that when you talk about starting a school and different things like that, in order to have what you're talking about, the economic, we have got to, this thing of capitalism in America, when Fred was here, he would always talk about, capitalism no good or whatever. I'm about ready to adopt what Fred is saying.
What?
Yeah. Yes. Because
I'm glad you said that.
because it appears with everything that's going on in our country that we are not one who is of capitalism. We are one of something different. What that difference is, I don't know, but it's something that we can work out with ourselves.
Right.
And I think with that comes the economic stability that you're talking about.
Well, and capitalism always benefits the billionaires.
Right.
And that billionaire club is closed.
Right.
They ain't gonna let you become a billionaire if they can help it.
Right.
That's what I'm saying. But they're making it off of us, right?
Right,
It's
right.
us that makes stuff
Right,
cool.
right,
Right?
right.
It's us that gives that stamp of approval.
Right.
And America packages it and slings it out there. And hip hop is global and black culture, black dress, black language. It doesn't matter where you go. Right? Black is cool. So how do we wrest back control of our culture and monetize it for ourselves, right? How do we make this? How do we build generational wealth off of everything that we do? That's my.
You gotta have some kind of corporate cooperative economics where you bring families together, invest in the community, and then let some of that money flow back out.
Right.
When you have a black restaurant, you ought to be hiring black people
There you
to
go.
work in
Preach.
the restaurant.
Preach.
Hire your kids if you have to.
There you go.
To
Preach.
hire them first. as a
Hire
matter
them
of fact.
first.
Hire them first.
Yeah. But by the same token, don't change your name to Cliff Huxtable. Don't become
What you got against Dr.
don't
Huxtable?
become so bourgeois that you forgot where you came from because now you have some money. And I'm not going to become a Cliff Huxtable and then not say nothing about being beaten up and shot by the police because you now own a restaurant.
Right.
So understanding the evolution of black history has to be included with the idea of generating wealth at the same time. You can't just abandon your community because now you own a restaurant,
There you
which
go.
some people do.
There you
Right.
go.
Good point.
We ain't gonna mention no names.
Good point. Good
We're
point.
not mentioning names. Chris, what you got, brother? Go. We got a couple of minutes left. We're gonna get some closing
minutes.
thoughts. Closing thoughts, brother. Black culture, black history, black wealth. What we got?
I just want to say about this,
Yes.
when we saw this on the front page, this paper here, I don't know if you can get a picture of
Right.
it.
Is that a black Santa?
That's Black Santa.
pick
but,
that up.
But more importantly is Black Santa's on Ozempic. Okay? And I don't know why he's on Ozempic. Is he too fat? Or what the heck is going on here?
I get. You know what? We gotta save this conversation because it's an important conversation about black health and
It is.
about the medications that are out there, how it benefits us. A lot of these drugs that are coming out they're proven, especially the new generation is talking about not just control of diabetes and wealth, but a lot of them are controlling blood pressure and cholesterol.
Does Santa
So-
have diabetes?
I don't know, but I know this is a conversation we definitely gonna have that we need to have in our community.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, grab this newspaper. It's everywhere. Libraries, restaurants, community centers. Grab it. This is the newest edition, and so
Black Life Texas.
Black Life Texas.
You know what the most
Black San Antonio.
one of the things that people should understand is that in this particular paper, even the picture that you're seeing is some of the work that Carl Booker does. Say what you want, okay, but he has become an aficionado of AI, and all of these pictures that you normally see is something of his creation through AI, and I think it's incredible. And if nothing else, look at this and know that these are not really pictures. This is the creation of Carl Booker and his AI.
Yeah, he can do it all. Any kind of marketing, media, advertising, you got to hit Carl up because he definitely is the uber genius who does it all and can do it all. So,
Uber genius.
uber genius. There he is. Mario, closing thoughts, brother.
Real quick, and nothing, maybe off subject a little bit. When you think of a guitar, you're thinking of it has frets, and frets lets you control the notes. I had a friend of mine tell me, well, that's a European invention. The Africans' guitars didn't have frets. I said, yeah, but what you're missing is without frets, you get greater tonal equality. Or you don't have to do the string like that necessarily because you're getting the tone. Frets cuts down on the tonal quality. So this guy's praising the European fret.
Right.
And throwing under the bus the African
Without
guitar because it doesn't have frets.
Right.
Doesn't make any sense.
Right. Not realizing that we overcome that probably 3,000 or 4,000 years before
By
they even,
manipulation of fingers.
Yeah.
And the tonal quality is much
If you
richer
notice-
than a
They,
If
they
you
still
notice-
can't rebuild the pyramid, so we don't need to worry about what them folks took 10,000 years later come and think they invented the world. Chris, anybody else? Closing.
I'm dead.
This has been Contemporary Black Voices, and we've been telling our story our way. We want to thank you for joining us this week, and we will certainly be back for our year in review next week. Don't forget, join us. This has been Hot Topics, and I've been instructed by Mario to say Happy Holidays.
I'm saying Merry Christmas.
We got a Merry Christmas. We got a Happy Holidays.
And happy Kwanzaa.
Happy Kwanzaa. All right, folks. There you go. So thank you for joining us again. This has been Hot Topic, Contemporary Black Voices, and we'll see you next week for our year in review.
Cool.
I want